It promised a transformative experience, and we delivered. We started with it so warm outside that we needed to wear shorts, and we were perspiring, and now on the last day, 7th day of Sesshin, we're sitting in front of the fireplace in the Zendo. Impermanence, transformation, whatever you want to call it. Yeah? It's been quite a week. And so as Sesshin draws to a close, there's always some degree of longing for it to go on a little longer, for us to stay, but at the same time an excitement about re-entering the world, for lack of a better term. Yeah. But it's important that as we go back out, that we don't just pick right up where we left off, that we don't get trapped again in the ways of thinking that keep us deluded, that keep us apart or separate from our lived experience. And so, last day of Sesshin, I asked at breakfast what we wanted to talk about, and of course, someone had to come up with case 6 of the Shōyōroku, Baso's white and black, which is a notoriously challenging case. And so, having reflected for a little while about it, let's have a talk. The case is, attention! A monk asked Baso, Your Reverence, abandoning the 4 propositions and wiping out the 100 negations, please point out to me directly the meaning of Bodhidharma's coming to the West. Or sorry, coming from the West would probably be more appropriate. Baso said, I don't feel like explaining today. Go ask Chizo. The monk then went to ask Chizo, and Chizo said, Why don't you ask the master? The monk said, The master told me to ask you. Rubbing his head with his hand, Chizo said, I've got a headache today. Go ask Brother Kai. The monk asked Kai, and Kai said, Ever since I've been here, I don't know. The monk returned and told Baso what has happened. And Baso said, Chizo's head is white. Kai's head is black. So here we come in contact with great Master Baso, a teacher whose Dharma was so powerful, they helped to over 133 Dharma successors. 133. I don't know how you'd even keep track of that many names, let alone where they stood in their study and practice. Yeah? And Chizo and Kai, or Sado Chizo and Hyakujo Ikai, that name might sound a little more familiar. Both are successors. And at this point, we're students of Master Baso. So the good news is, everyone here, everyone who was involved in the talk, went on to mastery and to training students of their own. The preface to this case begins, when the mouth cannot be open, the tongueless person knows how to speak. Even if we can't find the words, life keeps flowing within you and without you. The universe gestures, its silence, its timing, they all reveal the vast mind of our original nature, of our true nature. The question is never what we are speaking, it's where we're abiding. A monk asked Baso for direct meaning, not explanations, not philosophy, not doctrine. He starts with abandoning the 4 propositions and wiping out the 100 negations. Spoken about those before, and it's not going to help you with this case anyway. But suffice to say, they're philosophical frameworks that point to the intrinsic emptiness of all speech and communication. So that is no yes or no, no both or neither, no conceptual foothold at all. It says, show me. Show me what Bodhidharma coming from the West really means. I don't know how long Baso had to reflect. But he responds, I don't feel like explaining to you today. Go ask Chizo. That's it, right? No grand sermon, no opulent gesture, just reflection of what is. Maybe he's winding up a sesshin and he doesn't feel like talking. He's not avoiding the question. He's embodying the answer, and it's right there for him to see. Bodhidharma's coming from the West isn't something that requires a discourse or an explanation. It's always speaking clearly. If we just listen, if we just turn our attention away from the words to where they are pointing into the field of embodied awareness, then there's no other place to look. There's no other questions that require an answer. So Basho doesn't give meaning, he gives movement. He's gently attempting to have him shift his gaze. But the young monk doesn't quite see that. And so instead he does go to Chizo. And he asks him the same question. And Chizo responds, why don't you ask the master? But the monk insists, the master told me to ask you. Ah, the master, yeah. Always present. Always available to consult. Always right at hand. Yeah. The monk misunderstands what master is being pointed to. How often do we do that? How often do we go looking outside for answers? Chizo appropriately rubs his head and says, I've got a headache. Go ask Brother Kai. Now, we might laugh at this, right? But look what's happening. The question keeps moving, keeps seeking an answer that isn't in words, but in living interaction. Living interaction, in this case, between a teacher and student. The headache is no excuse. The headache is the teaching. Sometimes the truth does actually hurt. Yeah? So finally the monk reaches Kai. Kai listens to it, and he tries to gesture even more plainly. He says, ever since I've been here, I don't know. The monk could simply walk into that. Everything would be laid bare, right then and there. But instead, he continues to seek the meaning in the words. And he misses the meaning that's always implicit in this present infinite moment. It's not a meaning that you can lay a hand on conceptually. It's always a call to action. But now, that's it. The circle closes. The monk's gone on his circuit. And he returns to Basho and reports all of this. And the monk's looking very hard for meaning. And so Basho says of this quest for his meaning, Chizo's head is white, Kai's head is black. Another expository gesture that lays the truth bare. A way of pointing beyond those 100 negations to what's right here. What is wrong? What is right? The moment you collapse into one, the other comes to the fore. Together, they reveal the whole field. It's very easy for us to want to seek allegory. Our mind has a tendency to want to do that, particularly when we look at these koans as riddles. We could say, Basho is describing two kinds of mind. One clear, one obscure. One transparent, one thick with clouds. But both are functioning. Both respond perfectly to conditions. White and black aren't opposites here. They're interdependent expressions of one continuous body, the Dharmakaya, the body of reality itself. You try to cling to either side of the meaning, you'll miss the reality that's expressed plainly. There's already too much to say, right? So just look. You won't find the Dharma hidden in some abstruse doctrine or some eloquent explanation. You'll find it lived in the gestures that are born of a communion with the original nature. They're embodied in timing. They're spoken without words. So what ultimately is Basho teaching? He's showing that true understanding has nothing to do with what we say, but about how we respond. When we're grounded in the heart of things, when we're open, when we're observant, when we're sincere, the response that arises will always be appropriate, always compassionate, even if it looks like refusal or ignorance. It's just because we're clinging to some idea rather than opening to where they point. When we're observantly open, we see beyond the words, we know just how to act. That's the whole body of Zen. In nonviolent communication, there's a teaching that says everything that we can say, or everything that we say rather, ultimately should be heard or can be heard as either please or thank you. Every expression, whether soft or harsh, kind or angry, is either a request or it's gratitude. An attempt to meet life or get our needs met in this life, and a chance to celebrate life. When someone lashes out, you may hear a lot of profanity and a lot of anger, but beneath it is always please. Please see me. Please help me. And when someone praises us, we shouldn't actually think it's a praise of us directly or some idea of us. It's actually, thank you for this connection. Thank you for being observantly open. Thank you for being here. Every sound in the human field, from crying and laughing to things we try to make sense of in teaching, to silence, can be heard this way. Please or thank you. But don't cling to the words or the ideas of please and thank you. If we hear the monk's question that way, it's a please. It's a drawing near. It's an action. Please show me directly the meaning of Bodhidharma is coming from the West. Please tell me what it's all about. Please show me. Please. And Basho's whole response is a thank you. Thank you for asking so directly. Thank you for your sincerity. Thank you for looking beyond conceptual ideas and showing up here, right now. The whole exchange becomes a living dialogue. White and black, good and bad, request and gratitude. Master and novice, teacher and student, clarity and unknowing. All a part of one compassionate field. What's behind them? Or what's behind it right now? When we stop clinging to explanations, we start living the meaning of Bodhidharma's journey. Bodhidharma didn't come from the West and arrive. He's still walking. He's still thinking. He's still sitting right now. And that walking continues through our polite refusals to see them, through our headaches, particularly our headaches, but in our state of observant wonder or not knowing, most intimately. Every moment we meet the world with that wonder, we meet the world directly, without defense. And the Dharma is being transmitted right there. Chizo's head is white, Kai's head is black. The cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man in the moon. all preaching the same Dharma. You just have to look beyond the words to see it. All that's left is for us to listen. Not to the words, but to join the dance with our whole being.